is going to be a great episode with my friend Lance Kronberger at Freelance Outdoor Adventures. I went on a dall sheep hunt with him 2 years ago in the Chugach. It was just an incredible experience. Harvested an 11-year-old double-broomed ram. Just an unbelievable time with Lance and his crew, and it's going to be fun to talk to him here. Before we get to that, guys, I want to thank you specifically for your loyalty to this podcast. I appreciate all of the comments and all of the questions and all of the interaction that I have with you guys. If you'd like to send me a message or a question or chat with me about something, you can send me an email at jscottoutdoors@gmail.com. You can also go to my Instagram page at jscottoutdoors. You can send me a direct message there. I love interacting with you guys, so keep that up. I also want to thank the sponsors of the podcast, and I appreciate if you would support these sponsors. I hear from them every day how you guys are so loyal and do reach out to them. First, I'd like to thank GoHunt.com, the gear shop, my friend Cody Nelson of 20-plus years. He's the optics manager. If you guys have any optical needs at all, whether it be rifle scopes, spotting scopes, rangefinders, tripods, anything to do with glassing, if you're looking to just talk glassing or if you're looking to buy optics, give Cody a call at 702-847-8747. That's extension 2. You can also text him or call him on his cell phone, 602-399-3699. I really appreciate Go Hunt's support of this podcast. I want to thank KUIU Ultralight Hunting. You'll probably hear about KUIU in this podcast here with Lance. He's a big KUIU supporter. He has helped them develop a lot of different products. If you want to hear more about KUIU, go to KUIU.com, KUIU.com. KUIU Ultralight Hunting Gear, it's the best gear on the market. It's what I wear on all my hunts. I've been wearing it now, I think, since the end of 2010, beginning of 2011. Just incredible stuff. KUIU.com to find out more. I also do a question and answer session a couple times a week. Feel free, if you have any questions about KUIU, you can send me a direct message on Instagram or an email. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And then KUIU Customer Service also has a great staff there that can answer any questions you have. Also want to thank PhoneScope, phonescope.com. If you use the JScott19 promo code, you're going to get a 10% discount there. That's the digiscoping device that I use for all the videos and photos on my Instagram page. And then last but not least, onxmaps.com. Onx is the best Western hunting resource for mapping and be able to navigate and get yourself around and out there in the woods. I use Onx for my hunting and fishing and my real estate business, and it's an integral part of what I do. You can go also on my Instagram. I'm constantly doing tutorials on how to use Onx and how I use Onx. So if you go to onxmaps.com, use the JScott19 promo code, you're going to get a 20% discount. And I thank them for their support and the rest of the sponsors. Guys, let's get right to this episode. And again, thanks for your support. Welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast, guys. We have my friend Lance Kronberger from Alaska, Freelance Outdoor Adventures, and Cinder River Outfitters. Is that right, Lance? Cinder River Outfitters?
Yeah, we call it Cinder River Lodge.
Okay. And I was fortunate to hunt with Lance in the Chugach, not last year but the year before, and shot an awesome dall sheep. Had just an incredible time with Lance and his guys. I was able to take Dar with me, and it was great to hunt with Lance and his crew. I've been wanting to do it a long time and had Lance on the podcast before. So, Lance, it's great to have you.
It's great to be here, and it's that time of year to start thinking about next year, even though it's just come to an end.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to talk about Alaska and talk about the draw hunts and some of the hunts that people can just call up and buy from you. But before we do that, you just got done on Tiburon. How did that go?
Good. Yeah, it's always nice to get out of the cold for a little bit in the winter, so I usually go down to Mexico and do just help guys on desert sheep a couple times during the winter, and we went down to Tiburon, and Tiburon's a pretty cool spot to hunt desert sheep because you can kind of do it what I would call Alaska style. So, we load up our backpacks, and we went for 6 days and just slept slept in the desert, and they just kept on bringing us more food and water, and we just kept on moving and had a great time, killed a nice ram, and saw lots of sheep. You know, the one thing about hunting desert sheep down there, a lot more vegetation than people realize, and it's not a slam dunk, that's for sure.
I'm sure you've got your own challenges when we slept in the Chugach with, you know, ice and glaciers and all that kind of stuff, and then you sleep out there on Tiburon, you've got snakes and spiders and scorpions and all sorts of things that you've probably have to think about as well.
Yeah, it's a different deal, but you know, I'll take all those things versus the ice and the wind and the rain. Maybe I'm just ready for something to be a little less
a little more mild,
less wet. Yeah.
It seems like everything that you focus on is wet and cold and miserable, which is kind of your theme there on your website, and you laugh about it, but it's truly, you know, getting to spend time with you and your crew on the Chugach. You know, we get to see a lot of that, and I think relatively we had pretty darn good weather. You know, had a little bit of rain that one day where we were rained in, but I mean, for the most part, it was pretty good. Let's dive into the Alaska portion with the deadline coming up. I believe it's here on the 16th. Let's do kind of a general overview for those people listening. Describe your different operations and how you operate as far as getting hunters in and out, getting them applied, you know, the draw, some of the hunts you offer that aren't the draw. So just kind of give us the general overview of how you operate.
Gotcha. So, you know, the dall sheep portion of our business, the dall sheep and the goat portion, which operates in the Chugach, within 14C and within Toke, those are done with our partner, John Rydeen. He's the registered guide. He's been with us for 12 years. You know, he came on, and as we've expanded, he's taken over being the registered guide on that. We work together. We're still, you know, Nikki's doing all the applications and stuff. And so it's really been beneficial because our operation is big enough that we have the guides we need, like you got to see on your hunt, and we're able to keep those guides year after year after year because we're able to have enough hunters to where we have this continuity. So as a business and as an outfitter doing only draw sheep hunts, that's a tough part because you don't know how many you're going to get. But we've been doing it long enough and been having enough applicants that I think each year we kind of have, you know, 6 or 8 guys that draw, and we're able to do a good job. And so looking at dall sheep across North America, we just kind of look at it as if you draw Toke or 14C, you've got a really good chance of being successful, and the chances of killing something that's a little bit above average is better, and you're doing it for a noticeable discount versus going on a Canadian hunt.
Yeah, for sure, Lance. I think I got to see that firsthand. You know, on the same summer, basically, I bought a hunt in the Northwest Territories at Arctic Red, and it was a considerable amount of money more than my Alaska hunt, and the travel was considerably more. You know, I did 2 in one summer, and you know, flying into Anchorage, I want to say my ticket was only like $400 or something just to fly in there, whereas when I flew into the Northwest Territories, you know, I had, you know, 3 or 4 different stops. I had an overnight stop. Sometimes possibly I could see where you'd have 2 nights of overnight, you know, there in Edmonton, and then wherever you end up in your final destination. But you know, from a travel standpoint, I want to say it's probably probably a $12,000 or $15,000 more of an expense to go to Canada to do dall sheep. The benefit for that, though, is you can most times just buy a tag and you don't have to be subject to the draw. With those draw hunts, Lance, you talk about the Toke and 14C. Within those units, there are several subsets of units within the unit that you can actually apply for. Talk a little bit about kind of the differences. Some are a little bit better draw than others, and what have you.
So we'll start with 14C. Within 14C, there's 4 or 5 subunits. Of course, we have the certain ones we like better than others that we apply guys in. And within those units, they have 3 different hunt periods. And those are dates. And so, of course, the first hunt has way more applicants than the second or the third hunt. And so, what we have found is if guys really want to hunt the opening of the unit, we'll put them in for the early hunts. And then the guys who are saying, hey, when do I have the better chance of odds to draw, we'll put them in for the second type of time frame. The third hunt, we have kind of stayed away from. We had done it for a long time, but it starts in the first week of September, and we can end up with 10 days of weather that are not conducive to hunting sheep. And we've just decided that the little bit you may gain in odds isn't worth the chances of having a hunt that is mostly weathered out. It's not like that every year, but we've just decided that we don't want to take those chances. And so we apply guys in basically 3 different units in 14C for the first hunt and the second hunt. We kind of spread them out. 14C is, here's one thing that's been, 14C is rugged. And there's a lot of brush. There's a lot of places you got to go. And kind of like we did on your hunt, you need to be able to travel, and you need to be able to carry a backpack a fair amount of distance. We tend to throw a lot of manpower at a hunt, but the fact of the matter is, guys still got to get there. So those hunts are physical. They're a great experience. Knock on wood, we've had really good success. We had 3 hunters draw in 14C last year. All 3 harvested nice rams. So it was good. Toke has 2 hunts. Has an early hunt, which starts August 10th and goes through the 25th. And then they have a second hunt, which starts August 26th. We apply hunters in both those hunts. They're both good. The Toke has more sheep than 14C. There's more sheep, there's more rams. The country is a little bit easier to get around. And what I mean is, like on your hunt, when we saw in 14C, when we saw sheep, a group of rams, or you hunted a valley, if you said, okay, we're done hunting this valley, there's not what we want, let's go look at another spot. It was a major ordeal to go to another spot. In the Toke, it's not as big a deal. You want to just kind of keep poking along. You can hunt 2 or 3 different drainages basically from one spot. So that makes it a little bit easier. But the misconception we've found with the hunters that have been showing up the last couple of years is they think that they've drawn a Toke tag that it's easy, and it's not physically easy. You're still sheep hunting. Guys still need to be in great shape. If Chugach is a 10, a Toke is a 9.5. You still need to be able to go, and that being able to go is what determines success. And so that's kind of a breakdown on where we apply people. But the fact of the matter is it's about a 5% draw when you put all 6 choices in, and you just need to be lucky.
Lance, does it help, or can you put all 6 of your choices? Can it be one hunt, or do you have to stagger them out? And that may be a dumb question, but I get that question a lot on some of these different states of, can I just apply all 6 of my or all 5 or 6 of my choices for one unit, one hunt? How does that work?
Absolutely. We can put all 6 units, all 6 choices for one hunt. Just put basically in Alaska, what it does is it puts your name in the hat 6 times. And so basically you have your name in the hat 6 times. If they draw your name out twice, you get your earlier hunt in the order you apply. So if you want to put all 6 in for one hunt, that's not a problem. We do that with guys. We spread guys out. We kind of customize where people are applying. Like I said, there's 6 or 8 units we're applying, guys. So I have some guys that say, hey, just put me in where you think I got the best odds. And so we kind of spread guys out. So our application kind of has a little questionnaire, and that allows us to kind of figure out where we think the hunt would be the best fitted for each guy.
And then, Lance, you mentioned Nikki, Nikki being your wife, and I say Nikki's the backbone of the operation when I see her and give her a big hug. But she handles all of, like if people listening want to apply, they basically just need to get a hold of Nikki. She emails an application and helps them through the process. The application, you guys have really refined it, and it makes it really, really easy. She can handle everything. From the time someone hears this to the time they want to apply, all they have to do is contact Nikki, correct?
Correct. They just, if they emailed us at freelanceoa@mac.com, if they email us, Nikki will get right back to them with an application. In the state of Alaska, they have it set up to where they want all the outfitters doing the application. And so we have a special code we have to put in with the application with John as the registered guide. So Nikki handles all that. And you outfit hunts, you're dealing with outfitters. The amount of paperwork that allows us to actually operate and stuff is key. And, without my wife being fully involved in the business, I wouldn't be able to be in the field. I don't want to say the way we do it's the best way. It's just that's how we do it. And I'm in the field. I'm training guides. I'm with guides. If you come with a hunt, and you got to see it firsthand, if you come on a hunt and guides are doing it a certain way, it's because that's the way I've showed them to do it. It might not be the best way, but when a guy books a hunt or he draws a tag and I say, this is how we're going to do it, that's how we're doing it in each one of our camps. And that just, it's worked for us, and we've been successful, so we're going to stick with it.
Yeah, no, that was one of the things that I enjoyed so much about our hunt is the uniformity, from head to toe. All the guides were on the same page. Everybody thought the same. Everybody was working together. There was, great vibes. There was no animosity between guides. And Lance, I think you do a good job of weeding through the guys that, might be a great hunter, might be able to find sheep, but they just can't relate to people well. Or different things that might get them weeded out. But you do have a phenomenal group of guides, and it was great to get to meet all of them. So Lance, people listening to this podcast, they also have the option of hunting in Alaska in non-draw areas, and you and I have talked about it before. We talked about it on the sheep hunt, and there's lots of people that go to Alaska and are successful hunting dall sheep in non-draw areas. But from your perspective, putting in for draw hunts gives you a much better experience, less people. Talk a little bit about, in your opinion, the downside of just going out there and hunting out in the open units from a hunter's perspective.
So when a guy draws a tag with us, and I say we're going to go hunt 14C in the unit you drew, I know how many other resident hunters have that tag. I know, some of them aren't going to show up. I got a general idea of what the competition in the area is going to be like, and so I can sleep good at night because I kind of all right, I know how much pressure is going to be in here. When we were doing hunts in the open areas, you never knew how much pressure you were going to have in an area because the residents can hunt a sheep every year. And within Alaska, unless you have a federal land concession, if you're hunting state land, there's no limit to the number of guides that can hunt there. Now, there's lots of great places to go sheep hunting in Alaska that are over-the-counter. I just couldn't do it as an outfitter because every year you didn't know what you were going to get for other pressure. And on top of that, like, you killed your ram. The second we got back to service, you want to share all those pictures with everybody. Well, when you're hunting a general area, I got to be saying you can't show anybody, because I can't let people see, because people figure out where you're hunting, and then all of a sudden it's no longer a secret. And so from the start to finish, I want to be able to see you at the show, see every client at the show, and even though we're not going to be 100% success for our career, I want to know at the end of the day, man, I had a great chance of everybody being successful. And so that's why we do the draw hunts. And I'm not going to speak too much on everybody's operation, because I don't know each one, other outfitters, but I will say this. Without hunting the draw areas, there's no limit on the number of residents that could be hunting that area.
Yeah. Lance, there is a waiting period as well. I believe I'm in the waiting period because I harvested a dall sheep. How long do I have to wait before I can apply?
You have to wait 4 years. So you can only kill a ram in Alaska every 4 years. Now, that does not mean if you come hunting and you're unsuccessful, that 4-year wait is only for harvest.
Okay. So if you kill one, you have to wait 4 years.
Correct.
Okay. So I can start applying once that 4-year window is over and go back. And there's no limit. So like every 4 years, if you drew, you could potentially kill a ram every 4 years if you were in the part of the 5% or so that drew.
Absolutely. And I kind of recommend, if you like sheep hunting, you should just be putting in every year that you're eligible, because it's probably the least expensive good sheep hunt you'll go on if you can draw a tag. So, for what it costs, it's under $200 to get your 6 choices in and your hunting license. I recommend everybody puts in, and, when it's all said and done, I got some guys that have drawn multiple tags now and have killed multiple sheep, and they're just like, I'm just going to keep putting in until I can't walk anymore.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Let's talk a little bit. You mentioned talking about the toke and people coming in thinking that the toke is that much easier, and it's really not. We've talked before. I've had you on the podcast, and we've talked a little bit about this, but talk about the difference in the sheep as far as the ram's horns in the Chugach compared to the toke. I remember the last podcast you distinctly saying there was definitely kind of a different look, a different flavor, if you will, of the horns, the configuration from the toke to the Chugach. Talk about that. Gotcha.
So, just the Chugach has the reputation for having heavy bases, and they do. But the misconception is everybody thinks they have a Chugach tag, they're going to show up and there's going to be rams with 14-inch bases running around everywhere. That's not true. There's just a better potential for one of those rams to show up than there is like in the toke. But the toke has the longer horn flaring rams. They have a better chance of an older ram having its lamb tips and not brooming. In 14C, the horn configuration is a little bit tighter to the head, and therefore when they're butting heads during the rut and establishing the pecking order, they tend to broom more. So you'll have more broomed, heavier broomed rams in the Chugach than you will in toke, just like your ram, 11-year-old ram, and it was double broomed. Not saying we don't get those in the toke, but we could very easily have an 11-year-old ram that still has his lamb tips in the toke. And so your chance of having a flaring, good-looking tipped ram in the toke is much greater than 14C.
Let's shift gears a little bit here and talk about your mountain goat hunting. Go ahead and tell us about the where you hunt and how those hunts go and what people need to do to draw those.
So they have a goat season. It starts September 1st. Within 14C, we apply guys for it. It's rugged country. We're hunting glacial country. We're hunting, they're living in the brush. We have a very, very healthy mountain goat population. Because it's the hunt's in September, the first part of September, the hair is good and we can still access them. We wait till October, your access would be drastically reduced because of the weather and where you could get around. So I tell guys, if you're looking at going for a goat hunt, apply. Chances of drawing are much greater. Knock on wood, we've run 100% success last year. We had killed some really, really nice billies. But if you're trying to kill a Boone and Crockett billy, this isn't the place for you. If you're trying to harvest a really nice billy and have a great hunt, this is the hunt you need to apply for.
And what's the rough odds on drawing those?
That's about 30% chance of drawing a goat tag. So, okay. We have one unit that's a harder draw and it's a harder hunt, but there's a little bit better trophy quality that we put guys into. But when I say it's a harder hunt, on a 1 to 10, it's a 10. And so some guys we have put in for that doesn't have as good. It has about a 10% chance of drawing, and then the other spot has about a 30% chance of drawing.
Okay. Let's shift gears and talk about Cinder River Lodge and your brown bear hunting, and then talk also about you do grizzly bear hunts as well. Talk about just bear in general and where you do them and how those hunts operate.
Yeah, it's the bear hunting has kind of really become the backbone of our business. The bear populations are good, and just the season structures allow us to have a longer season. So we have brown bear down at Cinder River. We have a large exclusive concession, so we're the only people that can operate there. It's in Aniakchak National Park and Preserve, the least visited national park in the United States. Very hard to access, very difficult to access, but we have a lodge there and a base of operation that allows us to get down there and do a good job. I have a Super Cub pilot on staff, so I have a plane there the whole time, and we have about 15 different spike camps. And we have a season. We have one season each calendar year. So this upcoming 2020, we'll have a spring season, and we still got a couple spots available for brown bear. And then we'll get done with doing brown bear in May and move right up into Uniclete where we do grizzly bear. The one thing about hunting bears, it's the hardest animal to judge because they all look big and they're usually out in the open. You have very little to judge them by. But because we do brown bear and we do grizzly bear, the guides see a lot of bears. That's the only way you get good at sexing, aging, and field judging them. And so, not saying we can't make mistakes, because we still do once in a while, but the guides have gotten really good, because the difference between a boar and a sow, if I say that's a boar and it ends up being a sow, I'm probably about a foot off in size. And so one of the first things we got to do when we're judging bears and guys come on bear hunt is make sure that we get the sex right, because that determines a lot of what we're doing when we're judging size. So we go up to Uniclete. We hunt spring and fall bears up there. We do that in the spring until June 15th. And we have a super, we got a concession that's about 100 miles by 100 miles, and we got lots of bears, and it's kind of fun because the country's open, the country's rolling hills, but we do it kind of like a sheep camp. We fly in, land at a spot, set up a little camp there, and hike around a lot, and if we need to, we put everything on our back and take off for 3 or 4 days.
I noticed you said it's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun. In that there's everything in Alaska is kind of fun. Because the rest of it
it's not like me in Arizona right now sitting out here talking in my yard in shorts. That kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
It's probably like one of the few complaints that we've had multiple times is guys would come off the hunt and they would go, "That wasn't fun." And I go, I wasn't selling fun. Like I don't ever remember saying it was going to be fun. Like that was never. I never like you'll have a really good time. The only thing that's fun about doing some of these hunts is taking pictures, and when you get home, having that memory burned into your brain, because we always have this little fun motto. You want to have fun, go to the state fair, because this Alaska isn't always fun. And we think back on your hunt, and I remember after we're shooting your ram and we're hiking out, and it is pouring rain, and we all look like we're drowned rats.
Yeah,
There's
wet dogs.
Nothing fun other than we got a great big ram on our back.
Yeah,
and, you
exactly.
know, I kind of like to say we specialize in memories more than we specialize in fun.
Okay, that's your brown bear hunting. Talk about your grizzly bear hunting. Don't you also do those?
Yeah, up in Uniformity, and those are the ones that we're doing backpack style, and we're doing brown bear hunting. We don't move around too much. They're a little bit more sensitive. But the grizzly bear hunts that we do in the spring, we do backpack. In the fall, we got a couple hunts we do where we do a float trip. Guys come in, and we fly in, and we land, and it's a hunt that I did with Jason multiple times. He thought it was one of the most fun hunts he ever had. And we'll airdrop a raft down by the creek and float this river. Basically, you're kind of in the in-between stage. The bears are just pulling off the fish, and they're moving up looking for berries. It's kind of getting late in the year, so they're moving all day, and you're just kind of, you might catch one on the river, and you might catch one up in the berry patch, and you're just covering a lot of country. So the grizzly bear stuff is cool. It's a cool country, and you just cover a lot more area.
Lance, as well in the summer, you do have some fishing opportunities and family opportunities. Are you still doing those?
Yes, we are. It's we'll do at our lodge at Cinder River. We do about 3 weeks of fishing down there. It's a great time in the sense that I got the whole family there. We're mostly doing family trips, 6 to 8 guests. A lot of times it's a guy who's come hunting with us, and he wants to bring his family and let them experience Alaska in a more conducive setting. And so we do those trips. And then we do a couple float trips just north of Anchorage where we fly in and float down a river, 60 miles of floating down a river, fishing, setting up camp as we go. And it's just a great experience to be able to see Alaska. And like you said, when we, like on our sheep hunts, which are taking place, we pick hunters up in Alaska, and some of our fishing trips that start out of Anchorage, getting to Anchorage is easy. Once we start going outside of that, your logistical challenges start to increase. And so, especially for the sheep guys, I always say, man, you got done with your sheep hunt, we hiked out a day, next day I was at the
airport.
Yeah, at the airport, ready to go home.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Lance, talk about what shows you will be at this year, so anybody listening can come by and say hi to you and Nikki and the crew.
Yeah, so we'll be at the Wild Sheep Show. That's in Reno. That's probably our most enjoyable show in the sense that I have the whole, all the guides come to that show. I'll have Nikki and the kids will be there. It's a great time. And then we'll be at National SCI. So those are the two shows we do. It's nice. We get to see everybody. And, I'm not a great salesman. So, the shows are a lot of times word of mouth type of stuff. So we get a chance to interact with guys. And guys get to find out, we're not for everybody. And I make no bones about that. When I very first started, I thought, I wanted to be the outfitter that everybody could come with. And it took me a while to figure out, we have a certain style and we have a certain way that it works really well for us. And if we deviate from that, it gets outside of our lane and we're not successful. So some guys come and they meet us and they go, man, you're exactly who I want to go with. And we have other guys come and meet us and go, yeah, you guys are like too intense, too hardcore. It's too wet, cold, and miserable. I'm looking for more fun, and that's fine. It's better to find that out before we're on the hill.
Yeah, for sure. Lance, I want to conclude today, talk a little bit about gear. I know you've been an integral part helping Jason and Brendan over at KUIU, for many, many years with the design and stuff of a lot of the different products at KUIU. But for guys that are planning to come to Alaska, talk for 5 minutes or so a little bit on, how important having gear that you can trust and gear that you understand and that works, how important that is.
Since the evolution of better gear, it's made the hunts more enjoyable. It's made our jobs easier. It's made everybody more comfortable. And there's KUIU and other companies are always striving to make things better. Brendan came hunting with me this year again, and every year we're sitting on the hill and tearing stuff apart, like what needs to be improved. And I know it's hard for those guys sometimes, and I know they don't always enjoy it. But one of the things that was nice is because Jason and I were such good friends, and Brendan and I are great friends. I can be brutally honest with them, and I can say this needs to change, and they're continuing to always evolve, because Alaska is not the lower 48. What you need in Alaska is not exactly what you need in the lower 48, and the gear is crucial, and you got to see it on your hunt. There were certain things that worked really well, and there's certain things that don't work well, and we're finding guys who are showing up, going right down our gear list, which is very specific, and they're showing up and going, man, I sure am glad I followed this gear list, because I thought I needed X and it wouldn't have worked. And I don't think people really understand when we say it's wet, when we get bad weather, I mean, you don't get to dry out. So the gear you need here is so important, and they're making good gear, and it's getting better and better out there all the time. And no matter who you're hunting with, whether it's us or anybody in Alaska, having the right gear is a game changer on your hunt.
Sure is, absolutely. Well, Lance, I know you're busy. I know you've got to get going. Really appreciate you spending time talking to us about Alaska. I look forward to seeing you down the road, and I'm still in my waiting period for the dall sheep, so I can't wait till I can apply again. I recommend everyone out there listening, apply for Alaska, get your name in the hat, get a hold of Nikki, and she will help you with the application. Makes it very, very easy. Lance, why don't you give us, and I'll link it up in the show notes, how we can get a hold of you, how the guys listening can also see more about you, your websites, phone numbers, whatever it may be. And thanks again for sharing with us.
Hey, no problem. And I do want to say, the last 3 years, we have had someone draw. And when they draw a hunt and I say, hey, man, how'd you hear about us? They said, man, I wasn't even going to apply, and I heard you on the Jay Scott podcast, and I applied, and I drew a tag. So,
that's good.
It guys, they do draw. So you can get a hold of us. The best way to get a hold of us is email, and that's freelanceoa@mac.com. Our website is freelanceoutdooradventures.com, and there's an email link on that. Guys can try me on my cell phone, which is 907-854-2822. We don't got great service always in Alaska, and I'm traveling, and I just hate, not trying to get back to everybody. And Nikki is always making sure that if you email that if you got specific questions she can't answer, she'll let you know when I'll be back around. So, guys want to contact us, I try to make sure and get back to everybody.
Awesome. One last question. Did you get your game room? When we were there, you were just kind of starting on the game room and the addition to your house. Did you get it done? It
is weathered in, and it has a Christmas tree in it right now, but it's on hold for a little while, but at least it's weathered in and good to go. So, yeah, we're enjoying it in its rough format.
Right on. Sounds good. All right, buddy. God bless. Thanks for sharing with us, okay?
All right. Thanks, bud.
All right. Be safe.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.